Greetings. You're looking at one of my frequency generators that I'm going to be activating. Today is November the 8th, Sunday. And the Weather Space Woman, as she names herself, put out a video, which I wish I could have done this sooner to warn more folks. So make sure you have the bread, the water, and whatever else you need at home, just in case this turns out to be an emergency. Now, the events that are going to occur are not exclusive to areas like, for example, hurricanes to Florida and such. I'm hoping to be ready and have at least one of my generators activated. So when we're experiencing these windstorms, solar flares and such, which should be starting to hit about today, that they will protect this area in my home, at least the neighborhood, hopefully. I am also looking at the skies, and they have made a lovely cloud cover today. And by they, I mean the airplanes. I'm not usually very fond of that because they put a lot of stuff up there that shouldn't be. But in this case, it may bounce off a lot of that flare and perhaps even regulate a little bit our, our system when the winds start picking up and all that, although the clouds may float away real quick. I wanted to show at the very beginning, she talks about what has already hit us and what is coming. So today we're in the middle of the solar flare, and tomorrow. And when the solar flares occur, it takes about 2 to 3 days for them to hit the earth. So let's see, we're going to skip through the greeting where she's saying hello to everyone. She goes straight to the storm, does a short introduction, and then she explains what is going what came actually, so she must have had this out sooner, and what is going to be coming our way. So let's see.
And that's exactly what we're seeing here, even from this storm, which looked like a pretty gentle creature coming off. Okay, so now let me move forward. So this is the first one we were expecting. It has now hit, okay? But now, look up in here. It's kind of hard to watch it, but right here in the region 3479, you'll see it here in just a moment. It'll go whoosh, right here, whoosh. Do you see that? So that, you can actually see the ribbons spreading right here. That was the second solar storm. It's a little bit easier to see if I were to switch wavelengths on you. But this is kind of a blend between the bronze sun and the red sun. So you kind of see a little bit of the wispy stuff coming off. Now that is a solar storm that I'm calling the northward storm. Okay, so we have the southward storm on the 31st into the 1st. We had the northward storm, as you can see, about midday on the 2nd launch. And this one's mainly going northward. We can tell from coronagraphs, and again, I'll put those up in the deep dive. But that's not the only one. So those are the two glancing blows that we're expected to get. Okay, so we do have this one yet to come. And then as we look on the 3rd, look at this long filament here. Ready? Whoosh, look at that big monster. This huge thing, right, all the way up here. This thing launched just the other day. This was on the 3rd, okay, not quite midday on the 3rd. Now this is the one that really is going to be much more of a direct hit. Part of that has to do with the fact that this thing is a bit more centered. It is still reasonably northward. It's not really any less northward, but it does have this tail over here that then allows it, as it expands out, to have a much bigger chance of hitting Earth. Plus the fact that it's oriented almost what we call low inclination as opposed to high inclination. So this thing definitely has a good chance of hitting Earth. And I don't think it's going to be impacted by this, but we'll talk about this in a sec. So the 31st, the 1st, and now, the 31st to the 1st, the 2nd, and now the 3rd. So bam, 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 okay? 3 solar storm launches. We are just beginning to see the first one now, and, over the past few hours. And the other 2 are planned to hit on the 5th, so we'll talk more about that. Now, that's not the only thing. We also have, of course, this massive coronal hole. And this massive coronal hole is going to be sending us some fast solar wind here starting probably late on the 7th. And because it's got a very vertical wall like this, there's a good chance it's going to slam on hard, okay? because the shape of these holes actually makes a difference as to how the fast wind hits you. And if it's a big vertical wall, boy, these things come, they don't ramp up fast. They slam on hard like a brick wall. So we're expecting to see this fast solar wind starting around the 7th, and because it's elongated, this coronal hole, we're going to get a bit of a large pocket of fast solar wind. So that could actually continue through the 8th, possibly the 9th, and finally waning by the time we reach the 10th. Now, aurora photographers, if you're at high latitudes, you could be getting a show the entire time, basically from now all the way through to like the 9th or into the 10th. But if you're...
So as you can see, when this occurs, it takes 2 to 3 days for it to hit Earth if it's directed towards the Earth. And we're pretty much in the midst of it. Like I said, they have done a great job putting up some cloud cover over our town here. It's really interesting. Maybe I'll go and show a few pictures. I'm going to be ready activating a very specific frequency for the storm protection if I start seeing any kind of wind moving, and take it from there. Now, the other thing to consider, it's in the past on 2 occasions when she prognosticated the storms or predicted the storms, there was interference with the programming of MEFE, which usually delays again the results for another 4 to 10 days. So I'm like, but still, even if we get protection, I'm going to be activating a frequency. This is one of my creations. You don't get them anywhere else like this from what I have seen. I tie my pieces so that you always have the same frequency. It's a constant and it's good. And it doesn't go stagnant on you. There is people that are doing similar things. They're welding individual rings and whatnot, and they end up having the energy that they intended to make to a specific frequency for good turn bad on them. So we'll put the link on the bottom of this video that I'm taping of the lady that's doing this. But as you can see, it's about 1 hour 25. She probably has a lot to say about this condition. And then I will put my contact information on there. There is another part that I saw that I considered very interesting. On minute 33 is where it starts. And she's talking about the impact some of these things, some of our technology has on us. Here, let's see what she says.
12:01 means tomorrow. View line. What do you mean by view line? I'm used to view line being like Ovation's view line. All times are in UTC. So hopefully that helps, Susan. So always think of UTC, and you don't have to worry about daylight savings, right, with UTC. So that, yeah. So I don't know if you're talking about the line here with the model here, or you're talking about a view line with Ovation showing a view line over, how far south can you see the aurora, so to speak, or how far north for that matter. So let me know what you mean. But hopefully maybe that answered the question. Bioeffects, I think, are upgrades to DNA. Well, that's an optimistic way of looking at it. In this case, it's mainly, if you think of people who are sensitive to MRI, right? We know there's a set of people who are sensitive to MRI, and those are the same kind of people who are going to be sensitive to geomagnetic storms, because they don't like magnetic fields, electric and magnetic fields wiggling a lot. It causes issues for them. And there's a class of people that have those types of sensitivities. A very common one is having heavy metal poisoning. If you have heavy metal poisoning, you oftentimes break out a rash just using your cell phone, because the electric and magnetic fields in your cell phone cause issues. It causes all the little metal dipoles to line up in your blood, and it just doesn't do well with your body. Other people who have plates and screws, or have had metal, prostheses and things like that, or implants in their body. Some people who've had damage, who've had accidents to their brain, they suddenly become susceptible in very strange ways to VLF, for example, and other types of electromagnetic radiation. And I don't think we all understand it yet. The medical field is really beginning to jump on this, thank goodness. As a matter of fact, we've learned a lot of it from looking at birds and different migratory animals. There was a solar storm that happened just not that long ago, and there was something like thousands, like 10,000 canaries or yellow birds that slammed into this building up, I think in Wisconsin. I have to remember where it was, but I actually have the article that I'm in the process of reading, and it just blows me away because they gave a specific time of when it happened, and so I went back and I looked at the solar, the geomagnetic field data, and sure enough, it was exactly the times when we had a minor solar storm, but a solar storm nonetheless. So it tells me that there are times during equinoxes, for example, when you have these geomagnetic storms, and it's also when you have migratory birds doing their thing. And it's kind of sad because these intensities are probably when you actually see the most weird accidents where birds slam into buildings and glass windows on their path, the normal path, because they're confused, because the magnetic field is confusing them with it wiggling like that.
So this is what I wanted to share with you. I hope you benefit from it and think of detoxing your body. Again, I make these. If you're interested, contact info below. Appreciate if you can participate and support my videos by giving a thumbs up, perhaps even subscribing. Thank you and have a blessed day. Peace.